Hello everyone, I'm Fuzzy Elvin, and welcome to my very first Holy Paladin class guide. In this guide I'll be covering everything from talents, glyphs, stat priority, enchants, consumables, and of course teaching you how to, or explaining how to play this awesome Holy Paladin for patch 6.2. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to go over is the talents and glyphs. So we'll start with the level 15 talents. Pretty much I'm going to go right off the bat and say that Speed of Light is the best talent in this tier. Just being able to quickly move to wherever it is you need to go is really good, so that way you can quickly stop moving and start healing again. Pursuit of Justice is okay, but since you're kind of spending your holy power a lot, it's just meh. For level 30, Fist of Justice is pretty much just the go-to. Repetence can be good if you need to CC stuff, but you shouldn't really be worrying too much about that, I guess. For level 45, Selfless Healer is garbage. Sacred Shield, I have been playing around with it a little bit, but I'm just going to say right now it's garbage. 2, Eternal Flame just outweighs it a lot more. It does the same thing as Word of Glory, but instead of just a flat heal, it puts a hot on people, a heal over time effect, and of course if you throw it on yourself you get a nice little 50% increase on that, which is lovely. Okay, so for level 60, they're all three talents for level 60 are pretty good. Hand of Purity is pretty much like a tank cooldown, I guess you could use it for. Yeah, it pretty much just is a 15% damage reduction with an 80% reduction to dot damage. Yeah. Unbreakable Spirit, you can use it if you want to. There's no harm done if you do use it. So, I mean, reducing the cooldown of all your divine spells, pretty nice. And Lay on Hands, can't forget that. But I use Clemency. I always use this. I never change from it when I play Holy. Just being able to get a extra charge, a second charge for my hand abilities is always nice. For level 75, Holy Avenger is garbage for a raiding scenario. If you are doing raiding, which I hope you are, Holy Avenger is garbage. But if you're doing 5-man content, dungeons, or challenge modes, I guess it could be good. I don't know. Divine Purpose though is okay. It's an okay talent. It's too RNG though. I'm gonna say that it's just way too RNG. There's lots of times when I have tried using it that it actually procs when I don't need it to, or when there's points where it's just complete downtime. So it's like, well, there goes a whole bunch of wasted procs. Thank you, RNG. And then the most wonderful talent for level 75, Sanctified Wrath. Yes, this is the best talent here. Increases your Avenging Wrath by 50%, the duration by 50%, and then of course your Holy Shock's cooldown is reduced by 50%, and its crit chance is increased by 20%, which is really nice, because that really goes well with your passive ability, which is, where is it? Infusion of Light, which every time you crit with Holy Shock, you get a buff that will allow you to cast Holy Light, Holy Radiance 1.5 seconds faster, and then it also increases the healing of your next flash of light by 50%, which is nice. And then your level 90 talents, all three are good. Neither of them are bad. Of course, Execution Sentence is for single target healing. I guess I'd say this talent would be really good for PvP, like arenas or something. Light's Hammer is good for those points in certain fights that you need to stack, heavy stacking, so Light's Hammer would be good for that. And Holy Prism is there for those fights where you can't stack, which most of the fights in Hellfire Citadel you will not be stacking for. You will always be spread out a fair enough distance that Light's Hammer will just be garbage. So I pretty much use Holy Prism all the time. I never use Light's Hammer. For level 100, Beacon of Faith, the best choice here. Being able to use a second Beacon of Light is always nice. Beacon of Insight's garbage. Saved by the Light, I guess, could be useful for PvP. And then for glyphs. Glyphs. Glyph of Hand of Sacrifice is really nice. Pretty much takes that redirect damage on the spell and gets rid of it, which is nice, so it's just a flat damage reduction cooldown. Glyph of Flash of Light's really nice for those oh crap moments. You get that nice little 10% extra healing on the same target when you spam Flash of Light on them. Glyph of Merciful Wrath. Ooh, I finally said it right. This glyph is pretty much mandatory. I'm going to say that because it reduces the cooldown on your Avenging Wrath, which is awesome. Just being able to use it pretty much double the amount of times without it is really nice. But yes, it does also reduce the effect of Avenging Wrath by 50%, but that's okay, because really having 100% effectiveness with Avenging Wrath is a little overpowered. In a raiding situation, you will want this glyph though, because you don't really need 100%. It's just not worth it. Okay, and then other glyphs. I think I explained Merciful Wrath right. I don't know. But Beacon of Light, that's another glyph that's actually really useful. Glyph of Divine Protection's nice. Glyph of Divinity gives you 10% max of your maximum mana back when you use it. It's always nice. Oh, Glyph of Protector of the Innocent is really nice. Get you a little bit of extra self-healing when healing other people with your Word of Glory or Eternal Flame. Works for both. And then there is the Glyph of Cleanse, which is actually real pointless. Maybe for like 5-man content it can be useful, but for raiding, especially in Hellfire Citadel, there's really no debuffs that you really have to dispel. So, well, at least for me, because I'm not on dispel duty. So, lucky for me. Then I guess I could say Glyph of Light of Dawn is good, although I don't really use Light of Dawn a whole lot, so it's kind of garbage. But I guess for 5-mans and challenge modes it could be useful, because that way you can get that 25% more healing. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that's your talents and glyphs. Okay, so now we're going to talk about your stat priority and all that other little jazz that you need to know. Pretty much with the stat priority, you will want to be using crit, mastery, haste, multi-strike, and then coming in dead last is versatility, just because it's that great. Pretty much the crits, pretty much self-mandatory, shouldn't say that actually. Pretty much the crit just, you know, helps you get that infusion of light buff, and plus it also increases your overall healing. The mastery is your illuminating heal, which is really nice because that little bubble every time you heal someone. And then of course the haste, well, we all know what haste does. As far as your enchants go, for your neck, cloak, and ring enchants, you will want to be using the Gift of Critical Strike. It's the same name for all of them. That's the best enchants. And then of course if you are cheap or poor like I am, then you will want to be using the Breath of Critical Strike. Or unless if you have a really cool friend that will give you all that stuff for free. Gems, I think I forgot to mention those. Gems, crit, just go crit. Of course, if you can't get the best ones, then just buy the cheaper ones. And then of course your weapon enchants. Pretty much the go-to one is Mark of Shadow Moon, which gives you spirit. But if you already have enough spirit, or you're comfortable with the amount of spirit you already have without that enchant, then go with Mark of the Thunderlord. I was about to say Shadow Moon again. And then of course your food. We have a few different ones here. For your plus 75, which you shouldn't really be using anyway, that's pretty much the Blackrock Ham or Grilled Gulper. And then of course for the feast is the Feast of Blood and Feast of Waters. For your plus 100 food, you would be using the Blackrock Barbecue for your personal food. And then, of course, the Savage Feasts will do that for you as well. And then the plus 125 crit is the Pickled Eel, That's what I use. Of course, I raid. I always use the best food. So that's pretty much your... Oh, and then your potions. Pretty much for the pre-pull, or the pre-pot, sorry. I keep getting that mixed up. You use the Drainic Intellect Potion. Use that before your tank pulls the boss. And then, of course, as far as your mana potions, I would either use the Drainic Channeled Mana Potion or the Drainic Mana Potion. Try and use the Drainic Channeled Mana Potion as much as possible, just because it gives you more mana. But in case you can't, then use the other one that's instant. Or, you know, if you don't have any mana issues and you're perfectly fine, then just use another Drainic Intellect Potion. All works well. So that's your stat priority and all that other stuff. Okay, now to kind of talk about how the Holy Paladin really works here. It's pretty basic, actually. I mean, for single target and AoE, I pretty much use the same rotation the whole time. I pretty much just keep your Holy Shock on cooldown, since that's your main holy power generator. You can use the Judgment spell as well, but there's really no point, even though it does give you one extra holy power. And then, of course, you just use Holy Light as your filler while you're not using Holy Shock or Eternal Flame. And then, of course, if you get your Infused Light buffs to go off, or procs, then use Holy Light with those. And then, of course, if you have those oh crap moments, then use Flash of Lights. Pretty simple. It's just a faster cast time. And then, to use your Holy Power, you will use Eternal Flame. Now, I guess one thing you guys are all probably wondering is the AoE thing, or the AoE rotation. Well, it's not really rotation, but Holy Radiance. Yeah, costs quite a bit of mana. 12k for such a little heal. It's not really worth it. I'll tell you that right now. So, pretty much just use Holy Radiance. Don't use Holy Radiance. Don't use it. I don't use it. Sometimes I do. I'll go like a Holy Radiance and then Holy Shock. Kind of like that. You know, just kind of flap back and forth. And then Light of Dawn, don't use that either. It's garbage, so... Well, sometimes I'll use it like, if you can time it properly. If you time it properly when the AoE phases are about to happen, then you might be in good shape. But actually, I found that using my AoE abilities actually drops my HPS, which really doesn't make any sense since I'm covering the whole raid. That's a little weird. And I've been doing a lot of testing through that too, and it's weird. I don't really know how much to explain it. So pretty much throughout AoE, I just keep using my single target rotation and just use Holy Shock, Holy Light, and then let the rest of the healers actually handle it, the AoE part. But you can, if you can, use Holy Prism or Light's Hammer to do that job for you. And then of course with your beacons, I just throw them on the tanks. If you're raiding, and then if you're doing dungeons, throw one on the tank and then one on DPS. And then of course if you're PvPing, just be selfish and throw them on yourself. That's what I do. So that's pretty much how you play a Holy Pally. There's not really much or nothing too difficult to play a Holy Pally. They're pretty basic and a lot of fun. Okay, one more thing I want to cover right before we wrap this up. I want to kind of go over some macros that I actually use and maybe some add-ons. Well, I don't use add-ons because I'm just that pro. Pretty much some add-ons I do use obviously is kind of the basic one everyone else would use, is to pop all your cooldowns at once. It's always nice. And then I do use target macros, like slash target the tank, and then slash cast Hand of Sacrifice, and then slash target last target, so that way I can just quickly just keep targeting everybody else and use my stuff when I need to. Same thing goes for like my Holy Prism. Like if like say it's just like the boss is up the whole time, he's not jumping around or disappearing, or you can't attack him again, I just do a focus macro, or I just put in the name of the boss and then just click on it and it'll do what it needs to do. And then as far as add-ons, I guess there are a couple I can recommend. Like there's Healbot, and I don't remember what all the other ones are. I actually don't use any healing add-ons, to be honest with you. I'm kind of one of those people that are old school and really suck or do terrible with those kind of healing add-ons, so I don't use anything like that, actually. I actually do pretty good, too. I actually keep up with the rest of the people that heal, so that's pretty good. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I will get back to them as quickly as I possibly can. And I'll also leave a link in the description for Icy Veins in case you also want to read up on some of the stuff. You can do that too. So, hope you enjoyed, and see you in another guide.